Welcome to 504 Absolutely Essential Words. Hi everyone, this is Teacher JR from camglish.com. Today we're going to have lesson 14, but before we do that, we still have two remaining activities for lesson number 13. So let's get through those first, and then we can jump to lesson number 14. So for our first thing we have here, picture it. So try to recall all the 12 vocabularies we had in lesson number 13 and then tell which vocabulary or which word is being suggested by the picture. So you can see here, you have here the press, like a microphones here, and a person being interviewed. So what do you think is this picture suggesting to us? Alright, so this picture suggests journalist. Now let's have spotlight on. So our vocabulary or our word for spotlight on is commence. Many people have wondered why the end of someone's school days should be celebrated by commencement exercises, which ordinarily refer to a beginning. If you could still remember, the meaning of commence is to begin. So the reason for that term is that we often think of the completion of an education as the time to commence or begin to earn a livelihood. Sounds interesting, huh? Alright, now let's have the words in lesson 14. So we have here 8 words that we're going to look into. And our first word is unruly. 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 This is an adjective which means hard to rule or control, or lawless. You can also use the word stubborn. Unruly behavior is prohibited at the pool. When he persisted in acting unruly, Ralph was fired from his job. His unruly actions were a menace to those who were trying to work. Unruly. Number 2. Rival. 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 This is a noun which means a person who wants and tries to get the same thing as another. So one who tries to equal or do better than another. You can also say a competitor or an enemy. The boxer devised an attack that would help him to be victorious over his young rival. Let me repeat that. The boxer advised an attack that would help him to be victorious over his young rival. Sherry didn't like to compete because she always thought her rival would win. Seedman and Son decided to migrate to an area where they would have fewer rivals. Rivals. Number 3. Violent. 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 This is an adjective which means acting or done with strong, rough force. Carefully, very carefully, we approached the violent man. Violent behavior is prohibited on school grounds. Vernon had a tendency to be violent when someone angered him. Violent. Number 4. Brutal. 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 This is an adjective which means coarse and savage, or like a brute or cruel. You can also say harsh or ferocious. Dozens of employees quit the job because the boss was brutal to them. The brutal track coach persisted in making the team work out all morning under the hot sun. Swearing to catch the murderer, the detectives revealed that it had been an unusual, brutal, violent crime. Brutal. Number 5. Opponent. 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 This is a noun which means a person who is on the other side of a fight, game, or discussion. Person fighting or struggling or speaking against another. You can also say a rival or an enemy. The Russian chess player underestimated his opponent and lost. He was a bitter opponent of costly urban reform. Seeing his flabby opponent, Slugger was sure he would be victorious. Opponent. Number 6. Brawl. 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 This is a noun which means a noisy quarrel or fight. The journalist covered all the details of the brawl in the park. Larry dreaded a brawl with his father over finding a job. What started out as a polite discussion soon became a violent brawl. Brawl. Number 7. Duplicate. 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 This is a noun, or it could also be a verb, which means an exact copy, or make an exact copy of, or repeat exactly. Elliot tried to deceive Mrs. Held by making a duplicate of my paper. We duplicated the document so that everyone had a copy to study. The so-called expert did a mediocre job on duplicating the Van Gogh painting. Duplicate. And number 8, we have vicious. 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 This is an adjective which means evil, wicked, or savage. Or you can also say cruel, or brutal, or violent. Lisa was unpopular because she was vicious to people she had just met. The vicious editor published false stories about people he disliked. Mr. Voss was reluctant to talk about his vicious pitbull. Vicious. So those are the 8 vocabularies just for this episode. We still have 4 remaining vocabularies on the next episode. So see you guys till then.